Fancy living in Spain? Join the Language and Culture Assistance Program of the Education Office of the Spanish Embassy. It offers a fantastic opportunity to spend a school year in Spain as an assistant teacher, sharing your language and knowledge with Spanish students K through 12 and adults.
Con ella aprender inglés es estupendo. Chloe es la mejor.
I got medical insurance and a monthly allowance to help pay for accommodation and expenses, and I really think that this experience will help with my career in the future.
Spain also offers you amazing travel and cultural possibilities.
I couldn't have imagined this was going to be such a life-changing experience.
And what about the food?
And the lively streets.
And the wonderful people.
Yo he mejorado mucho mi español.
Don't miss this opportunity. Learn more about the Language and Culture Assistance Program of the Education Office of the Embassy of Spain.
And grow as you share.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Good to see you all, even if it's in 2 dimensions. Hopefully at some point it will be in 3. My name is Jesus Fernandez. I'm the Education Counselor of Spain for the US and Canada. I'm the head of a team of around 30 people based in these 2 countries working to promote Spanish language at this side of the Atlantic Ocean and of English in Spain as well. First of all, welcome to the NALCAP program. It is a great program. It has to be. Since its inception in 2005, more than 40,000 fellow Americans and Canadians have taken part in the program. This year, 7,338 of you have registered to embark on this great adventure. You will have the opportunity to get to know a beautiful country, Spain, its regions and its people. And I'm sure too you will take this chance to travel all over Europe and enjoy this kind of grand tour like the romantic travelers of the 19th century used to do. You will have the opportunity to be immersed in Spanish-speaking environment, Spanish school, where you will be able to hone the 5 basic linguistic skills: listening, speaking, interacting, reading, and writing. Yes, I do know you'll be teaching English, but other than in the classes, Spanish is going to be your language most of the time. Do take advantage of it. Language learning is not just breathing the Spanish air or the air of a foreign country. You have to work on it, to take notes, to pay attention to new words, to what people say in shops, banks, public transportation. Eavesdropping is a must in Spain. You will have the opportunity to see what teaching is like, how in doing so you can make a difference in the way children perceive your language as something real and alive and not just a course they have to take. And in a way, you're going to be ambassadors of your countries, the US and Canada, and you will be able to contribute to a better understanding of what it is like to be an American or a Canadian, to live in Chicago or in Toronto. You may even be the first native speakers they come across, and that is a lot of responsibility. You will have 1,001 opportunities to grow as human beings, to test yourselves against a new environment, against new challenges, to see things from a different perspective. You're going to have a lot of wonderful times, I'm sure, and maybe some tough ones. But you're young, you're strong, and you will deal with everything in the best possible manner, I'm sure of it. My best wishes to you all. Enjoy the program, enjoy Spain, and keep us posted. And last but not least, I would like to thank my team in the US and Canada and the Spanish Ministry of Education. And thanks, Lisa, thanks, Adriano, Enrique, Eliseo, Pablo, Nuria, Meg, Michael, Dana, Jesse, April, everyone, all my team in the US and Canada for your great work. Thank you so very much. Muchísimas gracias y a disfrutar de España.
Thank you, Jesus, for those wonderful opening remarks. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. We hope it'll be useful, and we're here to answer your questions as you embark on this amazing journey in Spain. Okay, so I'm going to start by sharing my screen so that I can explain how we've decided to structure the webinar. Okay, so let me put this over here. Firstly, I'm going to address a few topics that you should keep in mind. Then we'll pass it over to our interns, who are past and present language assistants. They'll be discussing 6 major topics: housing, bank accounts, class prep, cell phones, transportation, and NIE and DIE. We'll be posting links in the chats for further information on things we discussed during the webinar. Most of the questions that you guys put in your registration forms for the webinar will be answered during this part. Once we finish discussing these 6 topics, we'll take a few questions from the Zoom Q&A. So make sure that you put the questions in there so that we can answer them, and a couple of ones from the YouTube live chat. Okay, so let's begin. Okay. I want to start out explaining the different offices involved in the NALCAP program. I think this will give you a clearer picture of whom to reach out to if you have questions or encounter difficulties. Now, this that I'm showing you is on our website in the About Us section. Okay, so to start out, I don't know if you know this, but NALCAP is just one part of the program that brings language assistance to Spain. NALCAP is the name given to the program for applicants from the US and Canada, but you'll see that there are over 30 countries involved with different languages. Okay, so here are the offices that you can see on the screen. NALCAP is the education office of the Embassy of Spain in the United States and in Canada. We promote the program, we answer questions, and we help and guide you during the application period. All right, then it goes over to the Ministry of Education in Spain, and they are the ones that review the applications and they assign the regional placements. They're the ones according to the destinations that you chose, hopefully, and usually the ones that say, okay, you're going to Andalucía, or you're going to Castilla León, or you're going to Galicia. From there, the regional education offices take over. Now, to give you an idea what a regional education office is, this would be comparable to the departments of education of each state in the United States. Okay, so they're responsible for the education in that region. They are the ones that assign schools and they send out acceptance letters. These offices are the ones that provide your stipends and your grants and your medical insurance coverage. So once you receive your letter of acceptance, what in Spanish we call la carta de nombramiento, all further communication for general questions should be directed to these offices because they're the ones that know the answers to them, okay? And last, and of course, but not least, you have the schools. You should contact them as soon as you can, as soon as you know the name of the school, right, that comes on your carta, on your letter of acceptance. Speak to the coordinator. They may be able to provide help in looking for housing and other needs. And obviously, they'll provide your class schedule. Okay, and then also there'll be an orientation offered by the regional education offices, and they will also tell you the exact date that you're going to be starting on. Okay. So there are other offices involved in the program. The Consulates General of Spain in the US and Canada. Visas are handled by the consulates. Now, these offices sometimes have different requirements and timelines. So it's important that you reach out to them if you have any questions. When I say them, I mean your local consulate of Spain in the area that you are. All that information can be found on our website. Now, some consulates will issue your NIE, which is a number that is needed for your residency card once in Spain. It can be found on your visa. But if your consulate doesn't provide this, don't worry. Don't worry about this. You'll be able to get it in Spain. Okay? Please don't leave Spain without your visa. Please, I want to stress this tremendously. You cannot get a visa in Spain, and you need the visa to be legal in Spain, to have legal residence, okay? We have been getting some questions about medical insurance for your visa. All the information can be found on your letter of acceptance. The consulates make an exception with this, for the NALCAP program, so you do not need to provide any further information concerning your medical insurance than what is on your letter of acceptance. All right. And then the last office is one in Spain that's called the Oficina de Extranjería. This is once you're in Spain, you'll apply there for your TIE, which is a residency card. And we'll be explaining more about that later on in the webinar. All right. The email addresses for all these offices that I mentioned are on our website under the Contact Us section, so you can find them there. All right. Also on our website, we have a section that's called What to Expect in Spain. Here you're going to have information with a greater focus on helpful information on what to expect when you get to our country. The ministry hasn't yet uploaded the info for the 22-23 school year, but the information really doesn't change that much. So look at these documents. You have guidelines for the language assistant, description of tasks, sample classroom activities. They're going to help you a lot. So make sure you take a look at this. I also want to address that at NALCAP, we don't handle renewals, but there were some questions that I wanted to address. You are allowed to renew for up to 5 years in the program, but you have to be careful and be informed because there are shorter limits for different regional education offices. As far as placements go, priority is given to first-year renewals in the same region, then to new applicants and first-year renewals who want to change to a different region in Spain, and then second, third, and fourth year renewals. There has been no change in this policy and this procedure. It's always been like this. So please take a look at this section because you'll have a lot of information on here, okay? All right, some stuff before going to Spain. Once again, I want to reiterate, do not leave the US or Canada without your visa. You cannot get a visa in Spain, and you need this for the 8 or 9 months that the program lasts. A visa allows you to be in Spain for an extended period of time, unlike as if you go in as a tourist. Okay, again, contact your school as soon as you get the name of the school. Establish a good rapport with them from the beginning. They can be very helpful with various different issues. I also want to point out that most schools are closed during the month of August in Spain. So even though we suggest that you write to them, if you don't get an answer immediately, please be patient, okay, because the schools are closed during this time. Stipends. You will not be receiving your first stipend until the first week of November, okay? Because they are sent out on a monthly basis. So for example, you'll be at the school as a language assistant during the month of October, and then once that month is completed, you will receive your stipend the first week of November. Okay. Randomly, there are some regional education offices that have administrative issues that sometimes can cause delay with the stipends. So please, it's important. Make sure you take enough funds to Spain to cover especially your initial expenses. All right. You will have many at the beginning, like, for example, a rental deposit. All this information is on our website and in the documents that you can find there. Most assistants leave. There were a lot of questions. How much money do I take? Most assistants leave with about $2,000 or $3,000, but you know that this is very personal and depends on each person's spending habits and also where you're placed. A smaller town is going to be much, much more cheaper than a city. So you have to keep all of that in mind. All right. As for meds, if you have a chronic illness, we strongly recommend that you take your medication with you, especially enough for the first few months while you find your bearings. As an example, I have asthma, and when I came from Spain over to the United States, I brought a whole bunch of inhalers with me just until, I found out exactly how it worked here. Your medical insurance does not cover medication, but they are usually much, much cheaper than in the US and Canada. Okay. In general, your insurance will cover some dental and vision expenses, but you'll have to check with your regional education office for that information. And then unlock your phone before leaving so you can put a Spanish SIM card once you get there. We'll have more information on that as we move on in the webinar also. Okay. More things before going to Spain, COVID-related issues. We recommend that you check the updated info that you can find on the US and Canadian Embassy in Spain websites. They're going to have a lot of updated information there. As of right now, to enter Spain, you're going to have to fill out a health form, because this is a requirement, and it's going to give you a QR code, which you're going to show at the airport upon arriving. Okay, this is a very, very simple thing, and it's very easy. We're going to put the link in the chat. So it's something that's very easy. Will you need a PCR? As of right now, currently, you don't need one. But as you know, everything with COVID is ever changing. So again, check those websites for updates. Okay, entry into Spain. Entry into Spain is 2 weeks before the date on your visa. And here I want to stress to not buy your plane ticket before you have your visa in hand. I know that the flights are incredibly expensive during these times, but there's really no guarantee as to when you will be receiving your visa. And it could be on a date after when you booked your flight, okay? Another option is to buy a flight that allows you to change the dates, but please do not buy your flights yet until you have your visa in hand, okay? Vaccines, we recommend, it's a good idea to get vaccinated here in the States or Canada if you haven't already. About 87% of the Spanish population is vaccinated, so it's really a good idea to do that. Will there be mask mandates in school? We don't know. For these past 2 years, there have been. In the month of April, the mask mandate was lifted. And as of April, no one had to wear masks in the schools. Again, we hope that this continues this way, but as COVID brings surprise after surprise, well, we don't know about that. Your school will have information on that. Okay, and I wanted to discuss a little the language assistant roles, okay? Your school will be assigning you a mentor who will be your go-to person at the school. That person and the other teachers that you collaborate with will guide you through class preparation and presentations and all these things. I also want to stress that you are a language assistant with the sole purpose of providing linguistic support to your teachers. You should not be left alone with an entire class. Sometimes there may be breakout groups to practice conversation, and the teacher might say, all right, well, you stay here with this group and I'm going to take out this other group. And that's fine, but you're not supposed to be in charge alone of an entire class. Okay, in the unlikely chance that this were to happen, please contact your principal. And if for some reason it continues, you're to contact your regional education office. Okay, documents to take to Spain. We recommend taking the following docs, plus 3 or 4 photocopies of each of them. You know, you may need this, you may not, but it's a good idea to take it with you. So your passport with a photocopy of the information page where like it's your birth date and all of that, and also the visa page. The medical certificate that you used for your visa application, the background check that you used for the visa application, the letter of acceptance, your vaccination card if vaccinated, and anything else your school or regional education office has asked you for. Okay. NALCAP has social media accounts. We're on TikTok, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Our handle is @NALCAP Spain. Follow us for the most updated information. This is where we post our information first and when you can get firsthand information. As we talk about social media, I would also like to take the opportunity to thank all those Facebook groups and social media accounts and blogs that are incredibly helpful with the program. Thank you for the enormous contribution that you make to the program. We also have that we launched this year, our podcasts. They're on Spotify. It's called the Ox Life by NALCAP. There is so much information that you can find on there. I really, really urge you to listen to them. You'll hear from language assistants who have gone through the process, offering advice and telling you all about their different experiences. We have a podcast with a teacher's point of view of how, what the language assistant brings to the classroom. We have a podcast about a language assistant who lives in a small town. We even have a podcast about falling in love in Spain and tons of other information. Okay, so season 2 is going to be out this week, so check it out. I promise you that it's really, really helpful. Okay, all right, and so I'm going to stop sharing the screen and I'm going to pass it over to our interns. I'm going to introduce you to them. We have Michael, April, and Meg. Say hi, you guys. They were placed in Madrid. Dana, who was placed in El País Vasco, in the Basque Country, and Jessie, who was placed in Valencia. Okay, so Michael, if you don't mind, could you please start off talking about housing?
Sure. Hello, everybody. My name is Michael, and I was a language assistant in Madrid for a few years. Now, I know a lot of you are wondering, what do I need to do when it comes to housing? Well, first of all, congratulations. You are probably on your way to Spain, and you're looking to start your new life. And housing is a big part of your new life. My number one, thing that I recommend by far, the number one rule to follow by any means, is not to look for housing and purchase it while you are stateside. You can look, you can browse, you can search, but do not sign, do not send, do not do any sorts of money exchange to do housing while you are stateside or in Canada or whatever country you are residing in. The number one goal is for you to find housing upon arrival. So what you can do in these coming days or coming months upon arrival to Spain, you can become familiar with a few different websites. There are a variety of different websites, Facebook groups, applications as well that work with housing, not only in Spain, but around the world. Some of the useful links that I recommend for sure is number one is Idealista. So Idealista is almost, the Craigslist of housing of Spain. There you can go in and search for a general region or area of where you're looking to live. There you can put on filters with how many roommates, what you're looking for, if it's a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom shared. You can be very nitpicky with what you're looking to find to suit your needs. And I recommend just browsing that. You can start browsing that today. You can start looking at different posts. It's just something to be familiar with the coming weeks. But please, please, please do not send any money or do not try to book housing prior to arrival. One of the great options when you do arrive, I do recommend using a website such as Airbnb. You are going to arrive in Spain and you won't have a place to live, but you could have a place to stay at. Airbnb is a great option for you. I recommend 3 to 7 days of Airbnb bookings at a time, meaning that you are arriving, you are in the search for an apartment, but you do have a place to call home for short term. So speak with the Airbnb host, talk to them about possible extensions of days, but try to limit those days to 3 to 7 day intervals. You will find housing, everybody finds housing. I mean, I've met hundreds of people, everybody has had success. It just takes some time and you just have to be ready to go. There are a few other groups and links on this chat as well that are very helpful. There are a few Facebook groups if you're looking to search for somewhere specifically. If you're looking for housing in Andalusia, I know there are Facebook groups for that as well as for Madrid. But the number one goal is to browse now and obtain later, okay? There are so many opportunities for you to find housing. Now, some of you are looking to live alone, which is great. I mean, the Spanish lifestyle will still suit you if you choose to live alone. Now, if you're looking for roommates, it's a great way to meet new people, experience different cultures. There's never a wrong or a right when it comes down to your own personal needs of how you want to live your life when you are living in Spain, either alone or with roommates. So if you're looking for a roommate, start looking at those Facebook groups, start looking at Idealista. People are posting new rooms and apartments daily, even hourly. Now, as you're stateside, go ahead and keep on searching, but something that you can start practicing is, figuring out how you want to portray yourself when you reach out to these individuals for housing. What I do recommend in the coming days, weeks, months, go ahead and start writing a short 50-word description of yourself, stating your name, where you're from, that you're a language assistant with the NALCAP program, and that you're looking to live in Spain for the next year. Give yourself a little tidbit of your interest, your background. Really talk yourself up. This is almost like a Tinder bio just for yourself, just to really sell yourself. With this, what you will be able to do in the coming weeks, months, is you can copy and paste this basic info about yourself, and you could be sending this information to landlords, to emails, to WhatsApp numbers for you to score those opportunities to find the housing. So I'm sure we can maybe even make a small TikTok about this, highlighting what you need to say in regards to you finding success when you are sending out information. So some of you are also wondering about not many rentals, or maybe you're in a small town, or maybe you haven't found much information at all. Don't panic, there's plenty of opportunities for you out there. Once you get in contact with your school, more than likely that your teacher or a family member of the teacher or a student of the school has a room open in their home as well. So start networking in the coming days when you get in contact with your school and with everybody on everybody in Spain. You're gonna find success even in those smallest of towns to find a place to live. Some places do, in terms for housing, if you have a 3 or maybe 5-bedroom, 7-bedroom apartment, some landlords do rent those rooms separately. So it can happen that you can end up living with a stranger. Yes, it could happen, but that stranger could turn into one of your best friends. Upon arrival to Spain, I knew nobody when I arrived. So finding housing for me was a little bit stressful. But after I moved in and I made myself at home, I had 5 other roommates that were strangers that became family for my time when I was living in Spain. So it's something that, you will have to work through, but there's always success stories for people finding success with living with roommates and having a great experience. I've even stayed in contact with a few of mine, and I've been able to go visit them in their home countries as well. So it's a great opportunity. Let me just check real quick with some Q&As if I could answer something on this.
Or if anyone else wants to add on anything about housing that they feel might be interesting. No, Michael's covered everything. Yeah. Okay. All right. I think we can move on to April. If you find something, Michael, we can go back to it. So April's going to discuss bank accounts. Okay. So April, thank you, Michael.
Hi, everybody. I'm April. So I'm just going to quickly talk about some bank accounts. I know I've seen already a few questions. Obviously, a bank account is important because how is your school going to give you money? A lot of the bank accounts, when you should try to get a bank account right when you arrive to Spain. And don't worry, because a lot of banks, specifically one bank, BBVA, you only need a passport and you do not need to be registered in the town. There's something called an empadron that you're going to need to get eventually. I think we're going to talk about this when we talk about the NIE and the TIE, but don't worry, you do not need the empadron to get a bank account. There are a lot of banks in Spain that you only need a passport and you only need just your carta de nombramiento, etc. I personally think another really good option is online banks. I actually found I switched to an online bank called N26, and they give you a Spanish IBAN. What is an IBAN? It's your bank account number that you're basically going to need to give to your school, and what you're going to need to like do money transfers with your friends. But there are a lot of online banks now that give you a Spanish IBAN. So then you can have an online bank. They're very user-friendly, very easy to use. A lot of them have 0 withdrawal fees, so you can withdraw from any bank. Also, a lot of them have they don't charge you for the exchange rate when you are traveling within Europe, because I'm assuming that a lot of people are coming to Spain and they're going to want to travel around Europe and not only Spain. So I think these are 2 options that you guys should look at. Also, one thing in Spain that is very common, I believe in the US you guys have Venmo. So in Spain, there's also something similar called Visum. A lot of banks have it. Unfortunately, the online bank doesn't, but almost everybody in Spain has Visum. That's what they use to send each other money. But yeah, I think that's all you guys really need to know about banks and bank accounts. Does anyone have anything to add?
I don't know if anyone has anything to add, but I wanted to ask, so do you guys suggest that the first thing you do is open a bank account before you look for an apartment? Meg, you're nodding your head. Yeah, jump in there.
Yes, I think it's probably one of the most important things because let's say you're looking for an apartment and you want to reserve the apartment and you need to do a bank transfer to that landlord or that agency to reserve the apartment. Speaking from experience, if you do it with a US account, they're going to charge you a bunch of fees for doing an international bank transfer. So I would definitely recommend getting that bank account set up, because then you're going to avoid all these unnecessary fees, whether it's on the US or Canadian side or the Spanish side.
Okay, that sounds like great advice. Anybody want to add on anything else?
I would also say when you do arrive, give yourself a few days to get that bank account sorted. Most banks offer only specific time frames during the morning or the afternoon for opening bank accounts. So go ahead and be flexible. More than likely, they will have you come by the next day or the following days to get that account open. But, just go in with your smile on and be proactive. And, be flexible. It takes some time, but everybody gets it done in the first few days.
Yeah, sometimes it might seem overwhelming. Moving to a new country is overwhelming. It's overwhelming if you move to a new city within your country, but just breathe and know that many people, the counselor mentioned before, 40,000 people have done it, and you're going to do it also. So no worries there. Anything else on bank accounts? No? Okay, so next we're going to hand it over to Dana, who's going to talk a little bit about class preparation, a typical day. Dana, thank you, April.
Hey, I hope everyone can hear me. Great. So super excited for everyone that's going over to Spain. This is a great experience. I absolutely loved it. So I got in some questions about, how do you prepare for class? What are the first steps and where? So I'd like to go ahead and answer those. Starting from the very first question, I think is probably the most relevant is, what do you expect on the first day of class? What should you prep? How should you dress? I think this is an important question because essentially when I showed up, I just wore as far as apparel goes, I would definitely just say, think of something just really plain and modest for the first day. And then of course, let the faculty, how they dress, be your guide. I would always say you can't go wrong with smart casual either, throwing on a nice pair of pants or a blouse. That's always a good way to show up. And it really shows the faculty that, hey, you're here to be serious. And I think they'll appreciate it. As far as bringing stuff on the first day, usually the
your counselor or the person that you're put in touch with before you go to Spain is going to ask you to bring something to prepare or prepare something to bring to class. In my case, it was a PowerPoint, and it was a PowerPoint, you know, discussing a little bit about my culture, my background, maybe some of my family traditions, holidays, something interactive and exciting to share with the students. If they don't ask you to bring anything, I would just prepare this anyhow and just have it ready. Even, you know, email the counselor a few days before to ask them if there is anything that they want you to bring. And as far as preparation for materials, always show up at least like with the bare minimums prepared, like paper, pencil, notebook, just to sort of give that, like, I'm here, I'm ready to do this. So another question that I thought was interesting was, is there anything that I should prepare before departure? And along with the PowerPoint, I wanted to go on ahead and pair this with the question, is a Tefl necessary? And I would say that, you know, just ask the counselor what you need to bring. Don't overthink it. As far as getting a Tefl certificate, I mean, that's great. It's not required, but I would definitely say as much in advance, you know, preparation that you can do to prepare yourself with skills necessary, like in classroom skills, that's always welcomed. I mean, education is always a great thing to have. So, but not required. Just be in touch with your counselor. All right, in the classroom, as far as like grading goes, a question that I got was, you know, was I responsible for any grading? Yeah, on occasion I was responsible for grading, and like not responsible, like I was given the, you know, obviously the answer sheet, but it was, sometimes you need to help the teachers out when they need help in this area or that area. And I thought it was interesting, use these unique things to your advantage, because in this way you can sort of see maybe, you know, where a student is lacking and maybe where you might be able to come in and be like, okay, I can help this student a little bit better with this knowledge. So like ask, you know, take advantage from everything that the teacher does give you. And so
I just want to jump in here. I don't think it's the norm that you're asked to grade anything. No. And I think what Dana was referring to, correct me if I'm wrong, is more like a multiple choice kind of thing or something like that, right? Because again, you're there to support the teacher. But as Dana suggests, sometimes teachers, it's a hard profession. And sometimes they do need a little help. So just be flexible to help with things that they ask you for, right, Dana?
100%. Yeah. And that's exactly it. So as far as multiple choice goes, that's where like it would be the extent of. So classroom time, like, are you responsible for creating classroom lessons? So essentially, the teacher, you're an auxiliar. So you're going to be an assistant to the teacher. You're going to be helping them out with lessons that are taking place that they've prepared in most scenarios. And the teachers have a curriculum to follow. They have a book, they have to reach certain lessons throughout the year. And so you're there to sort of help facilitate those lessons and really be an assistant in teaching those lessons. On occasion, they may come to you and ask you would you like to prepare a lesson, like, you know, an activity for this lesson to sort of accompany this lesson. And in my experience, whenever I was asked to do that, I was really excited because it meant that I got to sort of put in my creativity and I got to prepare activities or things that I thought that my skill set would be a great benefit for the learning of the students. So as far as that goes, I was always given class time. And I think that, you know, anything that you want to do extra, like outside of classroom time, that's, you know, learning, that's your decision. I mean, learning is always a great thing, but you should be given class prep time to be able to prepare your lessons if asked to prepare any activities or anything. And of course, you know, when in doubt, always just communicate with the teachers. They're going to be able to like let you know when you have time to do this. So remind them that you need 30 minutes set aside to go work on something for the class. So as far as like your role, just to emphasize, you are a language assistant. So the teacher will always prepare the main lesson, and when you show up for the class, they'll give you, all right, this is what we're going to be doing. And a lot of times you'll be presenting it, and that you'll be in front of the students, you'll be presenting the lesson. And if you don't have enough time, if you don't feel like you have enough time before class to really become prepared with the lesson or become knowledgeable with it, then ask them if you can have some time during class to review the lesson the day before.
Sounds good, Dana. Thank you. I just wanted to if you guys could briefly tell everyone what your first day was like. Like, I know maybe you could write a book about it, but just like 1 or 2 sentences, like what was it that day? Oops, like walking in there to the classroom and to the school. How did you feel? April?
I want to share my experience because I did see someone in the Q&A say that they tried to reach out to their school and they didn't answer and they don't have any answers. My school never reached out to me. They didn't answer any of my emails, and I just showed up. And I think they didn't think that I was coming at all. They didn't know I was coming, but they're like, oh, you're here. Great. Here, give your paperwork to the people in the office, read a little bit about the school. I met the coordinators and that's it. And then they sent me home early. And then the following week, they gave me my schedule. So don't worry if they haven't contacted you because you were assigned that school. So you're meant to be at that school. Some schools are better at communication than others. My other school, texted me immediately once I got my carta, and the other school they didn't even know I was coming. So,
right. Sometimes
worry.
That's great advice, April. Sometimes there's even mistakes in the address of the school because it's in Spanish and then they do these abbreviations. We found this happen, when people write to us and they say, we've been writing forever and the school hasn't answered us yet. Just be really patient. And if you end up never hearing from them, as April said, just be there on there was a question about October 1st. I think October 1st this year is on a Saturday or something like that. So just keep an eye out from an email from your regional education office as to what day you'll be starting on. Okay. Michael, what was your first day like?
Sure. I mean, my first day, I arrived and I did have some contact with my teacher. So that was really helpful. But I walked in and the whole idea for them was to have me shadow that day. So I was observing the class, observing how the teacher spoke to the students' level, the school culture. It was more of me just, getting my toes wet, really seeing what the Spanish school system culture was like and how the students were. They did expect me to do like what April said in the following days, to prepare a small PowerPoint, some pictures. If you're working with primary students, it's really important that if you do make that PowerPoint, include lots of visuals. And when you include those visuals, use vocabulary. If you have a picture of your family, go ahead and label mom, dad, sister, brother. Have it very visual for them to use. If you're working with those secondary students, I mean, it's always visual, but bring in something that's very tangible and meaningful to you and very different. I recommend even bringing a yearbook. A yearbook is something.
They love those things. Yeah, they really do. Personal things about your family, about your home, where you live and all of that. They really, really do. Thank you, Michael. Jessie, what was your first day like?
Yeah, my first day was great. I'm getting unstable connection. Can everyone hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh,
You're
great.
Good. You're good.
So my first day was just observing, seeing how the day went, kind of getting set in my schedule. And then again, just like Michael said, some of my teachers asked me to prepare an about me slideshow, PowerPoint. And my students love seeing pictures of me. I'm from Chicago, so I included a lot of pictures of me at different locations in Chicago. A lot of my students thought it was really cool that Chicago has a beach because we're right by Lake Michigan, and they were
yeah. Oh, we lost Jessie. Okay, Meg, how about you? What was your first day like?
It was a little bit chaotic. I kind of did the same thing. I basically just shadowed, went around. My coordinator just really wanted us to actually decide which grade we wanted to be with. So I shadowed, went around to a bunch of grades. I was in a primary school, so 1st grade through 6th grade. And then at the end of the day, she was like, okay, like, what did you think? Like, which grades would you prefer? And then she like placed us with those grades based on what we had all said. There were 4 of us, so that's how it worked out. But it was good. It was overwhelming, but it was good. It was really good.
Okay, the schools they really try to fix your schedule. There was a question in the chat about going to 2 different schools. They know that that's hard, and they really, really try with the schedules. Many times they also try to give you the 3-day weekend. So maybe you'll have a Monday or a Friday off. So, just again, talk, have communication, that good rapport. Dana, what was your first day like?
Oh, it was super fun. I mean, I showed up and I went, it was all just really just, all right, let's go. So I showed up, I did the PowerPoint. I meandered over to the principal's office to meet her on my own. I was when I had a little break, there was a recess. And so I just sort of took initiative to reach out to people, to introduce myself. And I mean, it worked in my favor. I had a great time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dana. There's a question in the chat that my heart just started fluttering about speaking in English or in Spanish. You're always going to be speaking in English. Always, always, always. I hope I made myself clear. Always. That's what you're there for. You're a linguistic model for the students. They're going to listen to you speaking in English, and this is how they're going to learn English. So please, never, not a word in Spanish. Dana, you wanted to say something about that?
Actually, just a little word of advice. The teachers I worked with would always tell the students that I didn't even speak Spanish, even though I do, but it was just, it's easier if you just are like, nope. And then at the end of the year, you can surprise everybody.
Yeah. It's yeah, sorpresa. Yes, right. But no, always in English. And if you do speak Spanish, don't let them know that you speak Spanish. Okay. Thank you, Dana. Thank you so much for that topic. All right. We're going to move on with Meg with cell phones and the internet. So Meg, tell us about that, please.
Hello, I'm Meg. I was a language assistant in Madrid. So I'm going to talk a little bit about cell phones. So there's kind of a bunch of things. So basically the most important thing I think that I can possibly say is make sure your phone is unlocked before you go. If you don't know if your phone is unlocked, contact your provider, AT&T, Verizon, whatever you use, and talk to them, because it's going to cause you problems if you go and then you try to add another SIM card into your phone. Okay, so that's probably the most important thing. I think maybe when you first arrive into Spain, it could be helpful to get a temporary plan so that when you're going around looking for apartments, you can have at least international service. You can rely on Wi-Fi, but I would kind of recommend that you have at least a temporary international plan, because then you can call landlords, or you can, get directions to the apartment, even if it's for just a couple of days or even a week. And then I would research which Spanish cell phone provider you want to use. In the past, we've had success with Orange, Vodafone, Movistar. There's a couple other ones, Yoigo, Leica Mobile. In those links in the chat, it actually has a comparison of them as well. So that might be helpful for you. I personally used Orange, and then I used Movistar, and I personally have had no issues with Movistar ever. So I really like that. And then there's kind of 2 different ways you can go with the SIM card situation. You can have a prepaid SIM card where you would be recharging that data each month. And it used to be where you had to go to the physical store to do that. But now a lot of them allow you to do it online. So you don't have to go all the way to the store and tell them, okay, I want to reload my phone. So you can go that route where it's prepaid, or you can do a contract. But for the contract, maybe they would require you to have your DA already to sign the contract. So I think most people go with the prepaid route. I did the prepaid route, and now I actually do a contract because I had my DA established. So that's kind of, and then sometimes when you do a contract, you can actually get like cheaper rates, or even sometimes they give you a deal on a phone. Let's say you wanted to get a Spanish phone and you wanted to like do that instead of keep your US phone, you could also do that. Another thing that's cool that I have kind of figured out in all this is the dual SIM option. So if your provider allows it, you actually can do 2 SIM cards at one time. One of them is like virtual, and then one of them would be like the physical SIM card. So I actually have that on my phone. I have my physical, like my Spanish SIM card, and then I have my US like provider is like virtual. It's kind of hard. I don't know if I'm explaining it well, but it basically allows you to like have 2, and they can actually operate at the same time, or you can switch the service off of one and like keep one running, which I've actually found super helpful when I travel like back to the US and then like come to Spain, because then I can use my Spanish service when I'm in Spain and then my US service provider when I'm in the United States. Another thing regarding phones, please get WhatsApp. Like literally everyone uses it, like you need it, literally everyone. Like they are not big iMessage people. If you have an iPhone, get WhatsApp. It's actually necessary to communicate with anyone. Let's see. Another thing, this is kind of like iPhone specific, but this was something that I found helpful, is I actually bought a European iPhone charger like in the Apple store in Spain when I moved there. This actually makes it so you don't have to use a converter to like charge your phone all the time. And I actually bought one for my laptop too. I actually think it's like worth it because you're not going to have to like lug a converter everywhere you go. It's kind of helpful to like have that, like you have a European phone charger and laptop charger. That's something that I did that was helpful to me.
That is a great piece of advice, Meg. We just had some people coming in from Spain that were having those issues. So that's a really, really good piece of advice. Thank you.
It was something that it was kind of just on the go, but like you go to the Apple store and they're like, it's super easy. You just tell them like, I want the European charger, and then that's it. And it works perfectly on your phone because iPhones adapt to all the different voltage. So you actually don't need like a converter if you do that. And then as far as the internet situation, okay, so in a lot of apartments, they do include Wi-Fi. I would recommend when you're looking for an apartment to look for one where the Wi-Fi service is included, because if you don't, then you kind of just have to go through the setup process. And maybe they'll actually have you show your DA in order to do that setup, because they'll want to like bill you from the bank account and stuff and make sure that you're going to be in this contract with the internet company. So I would recommend, if you can, finding a place that has Wi-Fi included. Obviously it's like, maybe it'll be a little bit more expensive, but I think it'll be like worth it in the long run. Okay, I don't know if anyone has any questions. I'm gonna look in the chat.
You were mentioning about like how some apartments have Wi-Fi. For those who don't have Wi-Fi, there's actually a really good deal on Lowy right now that is like the Wi-Fi and your phone plan. And like I pay 35 euros a month for my Wi-Fi at home and for 50 gigabytes. And in summer,
she was cut off with this major announcement. Okay, but I think she was going to say that in summer they add on more.
There's a lot of really good deals, and actually it comes out cheaper if you do like get a Wi-Fi and then like different phone lines. So Lowy.
Thank you for that, April. Meg, thank you so much. All right, we're going to move on to the next topic, which is transportation. And here, Michael, April, and Dana are going to discuss it a little bit. Now, what we wanted to do is split it a little bit between like transportation in a big city and then in smaller places. So I don't know who wants to begin with this. Michael?
I can go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. I will say overall, Spain is very well connected and pretty far ahead in terms of how they use transportation and having the needs for its people. So regardless if you are in a capital city like Madrid or you're in a smaller town or village, there are options for buses, trains, metro, and some other few things in between. So regardless of where you're living, you should have some sort of access to some public transportation. And another great thing for Spain as itself, they've done a really good job with meeting the needs of the people in terms of cost for transportation. In the coming months in Madrid, the transportation costs for your abono, the word abono is just a commonly used word used for transportation, your transport card. That transport card cost in the coming months will be somewhat slashed. It will be a little bit cheaper for the coming days. So be on the lookout for that. Overall, there are many apps, websites, bus schedules posted everywhere in many locations that allow you to use public transportation and get where you need to be. I'm gonna let April take over a little bit more as well.
Yeah, so obviously there's more transportation options when you live in a bigger city, but if you're placed in a smaller city, don't worry. There's always a bus. The bus may not be as frequent, but also if you're placed in a small pueblo, like my cousin was placed in a small pueblo, the people in these smaller towns are so kind, and you're always going to find someone who's willing to carpool with you, to bring you places, and even give you a car. They gave my cousin a car. So if you're in a small town, don't worry, everybody's very kind. Even in Madrid, even from my school, which was outside of the center, I would have a carpool and one of the teachers would bring me to the center every day. So for transportation, it's very, very easy, very comfortable. Dana, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, definitely. So I'd like to sort of just help set everybody up for like when they arrive. I think this is kind of helpful. I worked in the País Vasco, so I worked in Bilbao area, and essentially no matter where you're going to be going to, you're probably going to land at like one of the big airports. So I would say just as far as like logistically, just getting from the airport to your town, wherever it may be, check the surrounding airports first off, because that's going to be first and foremost. You want to get as close as possible to your town. If it's still a couple hours away, then before you arrive, start looking up bus schedules and bus times before you leave. So again, visa in hand, plane ticket in hand. Now I'm ready to look for a bus. And I would say bus. When you are leaving the airport to go anywhere, the bus system is the most well-routed transportation system in all of Spain. You have trains, those are great, but those can be either between bigger cities or more local to your actual community. So you can look it up. There's a lot of great buses out there that are Spain buses. And if you want to go on ahead and book a bus prior, then, just like Meg was saying, I get to the airport, I buy a SIM card right at the airport, 15 euros, something like that. So I can have some data, so I can book a bus ticket ready to go. So then I hop on the bus, I head to my city. And from there, when you're in your city, no matter how small or how big, there's options everywhere. So we'll take País Vasco, for example. When you're in the País Vasco, it's a relatively small town. I was in a small town just 15 minutes outside of Bilbao. And from there, transportation was readily available in the form of train. So I had a bus, I had access to buses, I had access to, it's like a bus station. You can go there, all the buses sort of go there, and you can catch it from there. Then I had access to the train, more limited, but still available. And then I had access to the underground, which was the topo. So I could take the underground, within my region. And then of course I had the metro, and the metro was a great thing that I could always access. And then there was bikes. I had a bike for some time. That was fun as well. Foot's always available. And then of course you have the inner city buses. You have those small buses, the bus schedules. And when in doubt, like if you cannot find anything, like go to the ayuntamiento, go somewhere where you can find like within your like community where they can give you, all right, this is a list of all the transportation. So like the best thing is just prepare a little bit in advance before you arrive to Spain. That way you know how to get to your area, but options are available.
One other thing I would like to add in, if you look at the chat, we provided you with a few different websites or links that you should download in terms for transportation. Google Maps is also a great option, but I would say the top two that have allowed me success within Spain are two apps. One is called City Mapper, and the other one is called Move It app. Those two options, those two apps provide you with real-time transportation. So they are telling you when the next bus is arriving, when it's departing, when the metro is arriving, the necessary lines and connections that you need to take. I would recommend using those now, downloading them and seeing, you know, a general route for you to get to school. If you were to leave from the city center or the town center or the Plaza Mayor from your town, this will give you just a general idea of what the route for work would look like.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah, the links are in the chat. Also, I wanted if someone could address the carpooling when you live like in a small town. How can you explain a little bit how that works? Because we've had a lot of questions about that from people who have received a placement in a small town.
Sure. So, I mean, if you are in a small town, more than likely you will probably be living in a town very near or something of the sort. A lot of the teachers at the school do carpool together. So it's a great way for you to, you know, practice your Spanish as well as, and to get to work quickly. The first few days, talk with your coordinator, ask, are there options? Is there anybody living in the same area that you're looking to live? With that, you can make a schedule to meet with, you know, maybe the third grade teacher at your school, and you can carpool with them to and from work every day. From there, you can offer to pay for, you know, their gas bi-weekly or something that you can set up between each other in hopes that you can get to work in a timely manner. And it's just a great option for you to utilize the resources that you have.
Okay, thank you so much, April, Michael, and Dana for all that information. Okay, so we're going to move last, but absolutely not least, on to Jessie, and she's going to explain a little bit about the whole NIE and TIE fund situation, right? So Jessie, take it away.
Absolutely. Hi, I'm Jessie. I was placed in Comunidad Valenciana near Alicante. So I just dropped in the chat a link to a Google Doc. And then I'm going to also share my screen so that you can take a look at that Google Doc, because it kind of helps with, that's actually a picture that I took if you saw my background of the palm trees, that's where I lived. If everyone can see this Google Doc, it'll be very helpful for you when you go about that DA process. So right now, when you are in your home country, you are working on getting your visa. With your visa, you will get into the country of Spain. Once you are in Spain, you need to use your visa to get your TA. So what is a TA? A TA is just the physical card that has your identification number on it. And the identification number is known as the NIE, Número Identificación, something like that, right? So it's your identification number. So once you get that identification number, that will be, if you renew, you'll have the same number. So you need to get that actual physical card, and there's a process with that. And at first, you just need to schedule an appointment so that you can get into the fingerprints taken. So the way to do that is there's a website to get your appointment. So if you click, I have the link in here. The website is going to look like this if my computer brings it up. There we go. Sede electrónica. And this is just, you're going to choose your province. So like I said, I was in the province of Alicante, so that's what I would personally choose. and you would just go through this list. If you go back to the original document that I had with the TA info, you can, it gives you the step-by-step process of that. So I guess I could stop my screen share now. Okay, and there's also someone else put up some useful links for the NIE and TA, so thank you for that. So go back to that document. Actually, maybe I will share the screens. That might be a little helpful. Give me one moment.
In the meantime, could somebody put up on the chat the link for the Spanish health form with the QR code? A lot of people are asking about that. So if someone could put that up on the chat, I'd appreciate it. I'm not able to. Sorry, Jessie, for interrupting.
No, all good. One thing that I would recommend to everyone is before you exit out of this webinar, save the links because they're very helpful and you can go back to them later. So before you exit out of the webinar, save the links. And feel free with this document, I prepared it, so feel free to save it or take a picture of it just so that you know what you need when you are in Spain. So this whole first section is just how to go on the website, what to click. One of the drop-down tabs you're going to click on is the Trámites Cuerpo Nacional de Policía. And the option that you're going to choose is Policía Toma de Huellas, which is basically just fingerprinting. So the appointment, the cita that you're going to choose is the fingerprinting. So that's the option that you would choose under this drop-down tab. So when you enter and put in all of your information, you'll need your NIE number, which on your visa, they will have your NIE number. So you can look on that on your visa page in your passport, and you'll type that in, put your name, your country. The abbreviation for the United States is EEUU, for those of you from the United States. And then once you click accept, you're going to click on a little button called Solicitar Cita, which means ask for the appointment. And on that next page, they'll give you the appointments available. Now, with this process, some people, depending on your province, find it difficult to get an appointment. So I would say for that, just make sure that you are looking as often as you can. They upload the appointments at different times, so just keep trying and be persistent. So that's how to get the appointment. And then the appointment, I separated on this document in two different sections for you guys. If you want to prepare a folder of things you need before you get to Spain, you can, but there are also some things that you will need to do once you are in Spain. So the first one, you're just going to need a copy of your Carta de Nombramiento, which is that acceptance letter. You'll also need like an ID picture that's printed out, and these are the dimensions. It's 32 millimeters by 26 millimeters. So on photo paper, so you can have that printed out here in your home country if you want. You'll also need copies of all the pages in your passport from the first page to the last page. And then you're going to bring your physical passport to the appointment. And then there's
We lost Jessie. I'm not sure if she'll come back. Okay, in the meantime, I'm just going to address, hopefully she will be back. Jessie, are you there?
Oh, yes,
okay.
Sorry.
All right,
My Wi-Fi has been spotty, but basically.
Pros, go ahead.
Okay. Basically, those are the things that you can prepare if you want to before coming to Spain. If you don't get around to it before, you can definitely print out those at a printing shop in Spain. They do have them. You can just Google printing shops and you can make copies and print things out from there. But if you want to get a jump start on it, you can print these out at home. And then the things that you need to prepare in Spain, there is a tasa, which is a fee or a tax. And I also added the link that you need to access that. And then also when you make the appointment online, you want to print out the confirmation page. And then the last thing you need is the Certificado de Empadronamiento, which is basically just registering where you live with the town hall. So the townhalls in Spain are called ayuntamientos. So you'll want to go to the town hall and register the apartment that you live in. So obviously with this process, you'll need to have a contract with a landlord or any written document with whoever you'll be living with when you get to Spain, and show that to the town hall, and so that they can register you, and they'll give you a page which is called the Certificado de Empadronamiento. And that's the last thing that you'll need. And once you have all of these documents, you will take them to your cita, to your appointment station, and they will process the documents and give you a time period for, usually it's 30 to 45 days after your appointment, and where you can go pick up your actual card. That's all I have.
Thank you so much for that, Jessie. That's complicated.
I know, it's very complicated.
Yeah.
So make sure you look at this document, take a picture of it if you need to.
Thank you so much for explaining that. I'm going to address a couple of questions really quickly that were in the chat. Think about entry dates. Ask your local consulate of Spain. This is what the consulate in Miami told us this morning, only 2 weeks before. So ask your consulate when you're going in to pick up your passport with the visa on it. They'll be the ones who can best tell you that. People were asking about addresses. If you haven't found housing yet and you need an address, use your school address. That's what you're going to put on the visa. You can give it to the bank. You just use your school address because your school's not moving. That's for sure. So you can use that. Credit cards. Get a credit card here in the States that has no currency fees. And you know that's a way to use your savings over in Spain. You can use the credit card, but make sure that it has no currency transaction fees, because then you'll be paying a lot more. But there are a lot of credit cards here in the States that don't have that, so you can use that abroad. And then a lot of people have been asking also about some supplemental income. I have breaking news today. When you go on a student visa, you're not allowed to have any other kind of job because you're a student. As of today, there's a new regulation in Spain that will be in effect. I was told at the end of August, where you will be able to do something up until 30 hours, I think it was stated. So you might be able to find some private classes. I'm sure at the school where you go, they'll be able to help you with that and that kind of stuff. So that'll help you a little bit because the grant is a grant. It is what it is. And, you know, the government of Spain makes a huge effort to provide language assistance for the school system, and it adds up. And so it's hard to be able to increase that grant. So now it's perfectly legal to look for some private classes to help with supplement your income over in Spain. Okay. All right. We're running a little bit bad on time. Is there any questions that we have in the chat? Eliseo, anything you want to throw out to our interns?
Hello, yes, we've got some questions. We've been answering a lot of questions in the chat and in the Q&A, but I'm going to throw one here from David, who is in Austin, Texas. Do you have any ideas you have for integrating into your local community and making Spanish friends, especially if you're in a pueblo, in a small village?
Thank you, Alicia. So you get to Spain and you want to make friends, especially in a small village. What do you do? Dana?
My favorite thing that I always do, no matter where I go, I love sports. So I always find the recreation center where I can go play tennis, or where I can get signed up for a gym or something like this. And 100%, like all the time, I make friends, because you make friends with the community that you like. So if you like art, go do art. Yeah, just get involved with the things that you like. Take your hobbies to Spain, and then you'll make friends.
That sounds great. Anybody else? No?
I
Okay.
could
Yeah.
just quickly, so yes, find a gym, anything kind of sports wise that you like. Also my town, I found that they had a conversation, like a language exchange group. So I was able to integrate myself into that group. And that was fun because they also planned excursions. So it's kind of like culture and language exchange.
That's great. Anybody else? April,
You
Meg?
can also be friends with your teachers. I became best friends with one of my teachers. You'll hear it in the podcast. But also, you can, like Jesse said, you can go to language exchanges, and there's also a lot of Facebook groups. I know someone asked in one of the question Q&As. There's a lot of Facebook groups. I know there's an Alicante one, there's one in Madrid, there's one in Barcelona, there's in the Canary Islands. There's so many language assistant groups. So at least you can find other Auxes and you won't feel so alone. But yeah.
Sounds good, April. Thank you. Meg, what were you going to say?
Yeah, April pretty much answered it. Those Facebook groups are super helpful. I found a water polo team. I played water polo like all throughout high school and college, and I found a water polo team and I joined it, and you can make new friends that way. But you really this is a huge step out of your comfort zone. So be comfortable with that and just know that like sometimes you're not always going to feel super comfortable, but I promise like it's 100% worth it. So yeah.
Great. Thank you, Meg. Enrique, how about a question from the YouTube live chat?
Absolutely. So if your Spanish was a bit rusty when you first moved to Spain, what were the first few weeks like getting by in Spain, and how long was it until you felt comfortable speaking to locals?
Okay, Meg has to answer this because she's like cracking up. So
Go ahead.
It was hard. I mean, I majored in Spanish in like the university. So I had like a base, but I'm not gonna lie to everyone on this webinar, like it was hard. Like the first couple of weeks, it's not only like the language kind of getting used to your life in another language, but it's also just the cultural, like adapting to a different culture, which there are some things that are very culturally different than how we live in the United States and Canada. And you know, sometimes it's a little overwhelming. But sometimes what I found helpful was like to still stay connected with friends and family from the United States, from my home country. And then I actually was living with 2 other auxiliares who were from the United States. So that actually eased my transition a lot because I kind of had a piece of home with me, even though I was in Spain. So, yeah.
April, what were you going to say?
About learning Spanish. Well, the first few months were super difficult because, you know, like mentally, especially talking on the phone, and Spanish people talk super fast. It was very overwhelming. But with time, especially in the classroom, when you're in a classroom like every day and you're listening to students speaking Spanish, eventually you're going to get it. You'll start to understand more. You're probably going to understand before you can speak, but it's the best way to learn.
Right. That's what immersion is all about, right? Linguistic and cultural immersion. It's challenging at first, but then it's an incredible experience.
I also thought I knew Spanish, but realistically I didn't when I arrived. So I was close to zero. So if you know a little bit, maybe you'll have a better experience.
Dana?
I would just like to add one thing. If you guys download Google Translate, that also helps a lot as well. You can speak into it and let people know what you're saying if you have any like dire situations.
Right. There are a lot of people speak English in Spain too. So that's also very helpful. Anything else to add on there?
Also, while you're looking for housing and apartment, Michael mentioned like have like a little bio ready. Also, what I did for a lot of things, I kind of like knew just like the key sentences that I needed to say, especially for looking for an apartment, making friends, like introducing myself at first, just to get by like the initial shock. So I think writing down like things for the apartment, especially in your first weeks, will be useful.
Right, right. That makes sense. Okay, any other questions? No, I saw one that said, what is life like in Spain? What is life like in Spain? Yeah? It is, all right.
It's fun. It's whatever. It's kind of like the effort that you put into it is what you get out of it. You know, like if you don't like reach out to people, if you're not in an auxiliary out of group chat, if you don't make friends, don't do the activities that you like, you're gonna be sitting there and be bored. But if you try to make that effort, you'll make friends. You'll have things to do. You'll plan trips, and it's great. You get to see a different lifestyle, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. All right. All right. So we're going to end the webinar here. If you have a question that hasn't been answered, please write to us at the address that you can find on the website. It begins with NALCAP and then the rest is in Spanish. I'll just let you find it in the contact section. Remember to follow us on social media, listen to those podcasts, and everybody, we wish you the best through all the visa process and getting to Spain, and welcome to the NALCAP family. We hope you have an incredible time in Spain and that it's the experience of a lifetime for you. Okay, thanks everybody. Bye. Bye, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.